a prison wife, and I met and married my husband while he's been in prison, and now we're trying to have a baby while he's still incarcerated. I figured since I have such a unique situation, I would kind of talk about the logistics of navigating your fertility when you have a loved one that's incarcerated. I come from a very big family. I have 4 brothers and 4
Bro, a nigga spitting game in prison. Oh, shit.
sisters, so I always knew growing up that I wanted a big family myself. Now, I was really blessed with a child when I was young, so struggling with infertility was definitely not on my radar. And growing our family was one of the things that my husband and I bonded over in the early days. We would write lists of our top 10 most important goals, ambitions that we want out of the rest of our life. And in the top 3, we both had having more children. After we got married and we were approved for our private family visits or conjugal visits, starting to have a family or expand our family was not on our to-do list, so to say. It wasn't until after our first conjugal visit that I decided, you know what, I don't really want to wait. And so we decided to start trying with our next visit together. At that point, I honestly had no idea about the ins and outs of fertility. My knowledge was limited. Needless to say, after our next visit, it was not successful. And I started to kind of realize that I think this was going to be a little bit more difficult than I had previously expected. I love learning, and honestly, I think I'm a bit of a professional student. I got every book out there about TTC and about, a woman's body and her cycle, and I started learning about the ins and outs of trying to conceive. I actually even skipped over the chapters that had to do with fertility treatments, IVF, IUIs, all of that, because I honestly didn't think I was going to have an issue. It was at this point that I decided to start doing just some preliminary fertility tests because of my age. It was getting to that point where they say you should start now, and if nothing happens, to see your doctor, your OB, within 6 months' time of it being a negative. And me knowing with my husband's prison schedule, it was going to take a bit of a timing miracle. So I started with getting preliminary tests done with my GP, and they sent me for a referral to an OB. Even though I live in Canada and we have universal health care, it is a slow process. So seeing the OB took months and months. And during that time, obviously my husband and I continued trying our natural way with our conjugal visits. And it was at this time that we also started discussing freezing my eggs. When I finally got to my appointment with my OB and I explained to him my situation with my husband being incarcerated and the difficulties and challenges that we would face with that, he just kind of reassured me saying, oh, you had a child, you're perfectly capable, there's gonna be nothing wrong with you, it's just gonna be timing. I had to advocate for myself and my healthcare needs and insisted on all of the tests and workup. It was with these additional tests and fertility blood work that I asked for when we discovered I have an incredibly low AMH level. Essentially, my ovaries had the egg reserve of a 45-plus-year-old. Specifically, I had a 1.8 picomoles per liter. That's how we scale it in Canada. For my American friends, that's roughly 0.25 nanograms, so pretty low. With results like that, my OB, being the gatekeeper to fertility specialists in Canada and in my province, sent me a referral to a fertility clinic of my choice. And this meant more waiting. So while I was waiting for my appointment with my fertility clinic, they sent over some further investigative work that I had to do. So I went for more blood tests, and my fertility appointment was right around the corner. And when those blood tests came back, it came back as pregnant. That was the wildest 24 hours of my life. I promise you that. The fertility clinic postponed my appointment until I could either confirm or deny this blood work saying I was pregnant. So that means they canceled my appointment. I did further beta testing, and lo and behold, it was negative. So can't even fully trust the blood work when you get it done to this day. Even the lab does not know how that happened. Fast forward to my actual first intake appointment with my fertility doctor, and he basically said, sorry. Meaning with my low AMH, he said IVF and even egg freezing is not the best route for me because I have a very minimal chance with collecting more potential viable follicles, meaning more viable eggs, and they're just not going to be there to come forward for retrieval. I refuse to accept that he couldn't do anything to help me. He's a doctor. He's supposed to be there to help a patient, me being the patient. So he agreed to do some monitoring cycles to see exactly where I'm at, to see exactly if I am still actually ovulating, all that fun stuff. And it was at that time that he and the office recommended the Mira analyzer so that I could be testing my hormones at home every cycle until we figure out what our next steps can be. Through these monitoring cycles, we discovered that I have an AFC, antral follicle count, of 2, 1 in each side. And actually, they even asked, with Wanda up there, if I even still get my period. That was a very sad day. Seconds later, I had an endometrial biopsy as well as a hysteroscopy. So painful, tears, flushed with all these emotions of me being a failure and left with feeling like there was no hope. With my diagnosed diminished ovarian reserve, my doctor has recommended that we don't proceed with IVF or egg freezing. Normally in this situation, we would be doing IUIs to at least give that a try, but because my husband is incarcerated, that is posing extra hurdles to navigate around. Now, with the logistics of my husband becoming a patient of the fertility clinic, so far, technically, I am the patient. You need a referral to be seen by a fertility specialist. Now, we requested this referral from the doctors at the institution, and they refused to do it, saying it was beyond their scope of necessary medical care. However, they did not tell me about this loophole that with my investigative skills discovered that actually the fertility clinic only needs a referral when you're covered as an individual under provincial health care. As my husband is covered under federal, it's a loophole and he can just become an automatic patient of the clinic. He doesn't need an extra doctor's referral. Now, with this discovery that there was actually a loophole with my husband becoming an official patient with the clinic, we were able to get more instructions from the fertility clinic with what type of preliminary blood work my husband would need to have and that my husband would be able to get at the institution. However, even with the preliminary blood work all done, we're still kind of in the same spot because if I need to proceed with IUIs first, we need my husband's specimen at the fertility clinic for an analysis and freezing. And I'm just about out of time, and this is really important.
I thought she was gonna tell us about how the fuck she met dude ass in jail and why the fuck did she decide to do this. You know what I'm saying? I guess, but it does say how to navigate fertility treatments as a prison wife. It does say that. So
Of my life as a prison wife, navigating my infertility journey while my husband is still incarcerated. So now that my husband is officially a patient of the fertility clinic, now we just have to figure out how to actually get him to the clinic. It's a little bit more difficult than it sounds. We were all doing this part of the journey while my husband was incarcerated at a medium security institution. Medium security federal institution, I should say. And this is the portion of our journey where it falls primarily on my husband, since he is incarcerated and he needed to really advocate for himself as the patient in the institution to be able to get this approval to leave the institution to get to the fertility clinic. I'm talking he was doing requests to healthcare, requests to everyone on his correctional management team, like requests to everyone. So if you're going on this journey, your husband has to be just as dedicated as you are. But we were literally getting nowhere with that. So then I started emailing the institutional healthcare with all of my doctor's emails, the importance of getting permission for this escorted temporary absence to the medical facility. We got crickets. It wasn't until my husband decided to make an official complaint about the medical doctors that he finally heard from the chief doctor at the institution. Like all things bureaucracy, you need to push and you need to advocate for yourself, and they literally won't do anything until you take it to the tops. Giving you a bit of a time frame here, it was almost a year since the initial request to healthcare by my husband before we heard from the chief doctor. It was at this first and essentially only meeting between healthcare and my husband where we finally got some answers. They had said that they were taking this long because they had to figure out how much to charge us for this escorted temporary absence. Now, the chief medical doctor told my husband that he was taking this long for a reason. He did it on purpose. He didn't know how to respond, is basically why it took that long. And he thought it would just be a better idea for us to fully wait until my husband went to a lower security because it would be easier to do it then. However, he did give us a price point for my husband to leave for one day trip out of the institution to a fertility clinic to drop off a specimen sample for analysis and freezing. It would cost us $3,000 to just leave the facility. That's $3,000 just what the prison is charging us. That has nothing to do with the fertility clinic for analysis and freezing. That's just to leave the prison. Which means, in my case, if my doctor wanted to try 3 IUIs, that would be $9,000 to just leave the prison to drop off this sample. So we decided as a married couple that since my husband was so close to moving forward with his correctional release plan, that we would put the fertility clinic for him on pause and just continue with our conjugal visits and TI cycles, which is what we did for our December conjugal visit. It was my first medicated TI cycle with my fertility clinic that they were willing to try with me. So for that, I was on letrozole and I did Menopur injections followed by a trigger shot. Obviously it was unsuccessful, but at least it was something. It was a try. It was with this cycle that we discovered my body was following suit with low AMH and DOR, that I do not respond to fertility medications. I did not produce any more viable follicles than the 2 I produce on my own each cycle. So even though the fertility medications did not work for that cycle, and it is kind of a premonition of how my body will react to an IVF round, I am not opposed to trying IVF, but my doctor wants to do IUI first. So now that my husband is at a lower security facility, we are just waiting for the administration to do their paperwork and then to apply for this ETA, escorted temporary absence, which hopefully we will not be charged for, to get him to the fertility clinic for finally the next step in our fertility journey. To give you guys a little bit of a time reference, we started this journey in 2023, and now it is 2025. With my husband being at a different facility, I did decide to retest my AMH levels, which I'd been scared to do, but I was pleasantly surprised that they haven't really changed in the past 2 years. So, I mean, I'm okay with that. We're stagnant. Stagnant is okay. Stable is good. So even though the prison did not deny a request for my husband to seek fertility treatment, they definitely did not make it easy. And quite honestly, it violates what they did, the Canada Health Act. It also violates Section 7 and Section 12 of the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms Act. By imposing this $3,000 fee, it essentially denies the necessary health care that we need because it is an unjust and financial burden to families. But that's another fight for another day, for another story. So my biggest advice to you, if you are navigating infertility needs while you have a loved one incarcerated in a federal institution in Canada, is to be prepared for a long, slow battle. It's a marathon, not a race. So even though to a lot of people who are on a trying to conceive journey, it may seem that I haven't really been doing anything, I've been doing a lot of emailing. That is my trying to conceive efforts every month, every day, every waking hour to get the medical care that me and my husband need. And although we haven't gotten my husband to the clinic yet, it is just a matter of time and progress is being made. And I'm very excited to see what 2025 will bring for the Kings. So as per usual, wishing you all the best of luck on this wild and unique journey that is TTC, and baby dust to you all.
Well, we heard it. She met the man in prison. I don't know what kind of headspace you gotta be and what kind of mindset you gotta be in to be trying to have a baby by a nigga in jail. I'm just trying to figure this out. Like, you ready to be a single baby mama. Like, you ready for that shit. That shit don't bother you at all. Like, I mean, some people, it don't bother, like, shit, I guess, I don't know, like, damn, baby, you can't go find you nobody outside, what the fuck going on, like, how do you even get bitches from in jail? Like, if you not famous or nothing, niggas ain't, the girls ain't sending you letters, and like, how the fuck, I guess it's people, I think there's shows like this, right, there's people who just, like, write niggas letters in jail. I don't know what the fuck. Do they got like some internet site jail? Oh, they probably just searched the inmate list. She probably just searched the inmate list, seen a nigga she liked, one of the mug shots, and was like, I'ma fuck with him. Got married to him. I don't know what the fuck wrong with these people, man. But shit, hey, baby girl, you like it, I love it. I hope and pray that you can have that baby. I hope and I pray you do. God, please bless this lady with a child from that nigga that's in jail too. Give her exactly what she want. You know what I'm talking about? I appreciate y'all for tuning in and rocking with me, man. It's your boy Ray. Big play. I love y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. Smash that like button if you haven't done so already. And follow me on Instagram. Peace.